Hi Virgo, it's Anna. Welcome back. What just came through is unprecedented in 15 years of doing this work, and you need to hear it. Stay close. I don't say this lightly. I've done thousands of readings, seen every variation of every pattern, read for people in every conceivable situation, watched energies play out in ways that surprised me, taught me, humbled me. But what's showing up around you right now, what I'm picking up on regarding someone's massive miscalculation about who you are and what you're capable of, this is different. This hits different. This carries weight I haven't encountered before, because the gap between how they see you and who you actually are is so vast, so absurd, so cosmically incorrect, that what's about to happen when reality corrects their perception isn't just surprising, it's biblical. It's the kind of reversal that becomes story people tell, becomes reference point for remember when so and so thought they could dismiss this person and then discovered they'd made catastrophic error in judgment. Here's what makes this unprecedented. It's not just that they underestimated you. People get underestimated all the time. Virgo gets underestimated constantly because Virgo's power is quiet, operates beneath surface, doesn't announce itself with flash and performance. What makes this reading different is the scale of their miscalculation combined with the scale of consequences that miscalculation is about to generate. They didn't just slightly misjudge you. They fundamentally, completely, devastatingly got you wrong. Is less than has hone. Zero hash is greater than. They assessed you as small when you're vast, weak when you're formidable, limited when you're capable of things they can't even conceptualize because their frame of reference doesn't include possibility that someone they dismissed so casually could be operating at level they'll never reach. And the consequences, they're not just going to realize they were wrong. They're going to watch you demonstrate exactly how wrong they were in ways that destroy their credibility, their position, their certainty that they're superior judge of character and capability. They're going to have to publicly acknowledge the gap between their assessment and your reality. And that acknowledgement, that having to eat their words, that witnessing you achieve or become or reveal what they said was impossible for you, that's going to hurt them in ways. Simple being wrong doesn't hurt, because everyone who heard them underestimate you will also see them proven catastrophically incorrect. Let me break down what never happened before actually means in context of this reading. First element, the specific person who underestimated you. Usually when I see underestimation in readings, it's from expected sources. People who don't know you well, people who have reason to be competitive or threatened, people whose judgment is already questionable, so being wrong about you doesn't carry much weight. But this person, this is someone who should know better. Someone who's had access to you, someone who's seen you operate, someone who's been close enough to witness your capabilities, but somehow still managed to completely misread you, to fundamentally misunderstand what you're made of, what you're building toward, what you're capable of unleashing when properly motivated is less than #0. 5# is greater than. This could be family member who's always treated you as lesser sibling, lesser child, person who won't amount to much because you don't fit their definition of success. Could be former romantic partner who left because they thought you were the best they could do at the time, but not good enough long term, not impressive enough, not valuable enough to commit to fully. Could be colleague or supervisor who's been treating you as subordinate, as someone whose ideas don't matter, whose contributions are forgettable, whose potential is limited to whatever minor role they've assigned you. Could be friend who's been positioning themselves as the capable one, the successful one, the one others should admire, while treating you as accessory, as support system, as someone who exists to make them look good by comparison. Whoever they are, their proximity is what makes their underestimation so insulting and their impending correction so satisfying. They had evidence. They had access. They should have known, but they chose not to see. Chose to maintain an image of you that served their ego, that made them feel superior, that allowed them to treat you as less than, because treating you as equal or greater would threaten the hierarchy they've constructed where they're above you. Second element, what they underestimated specifically. This isn't vague, they didn't think you could succeed energy. What I'm seeing is specific, precise. They underestimated your intelligence, your strategic thinking, your ability to see 10 moves ahead while they're stuck on current move is less than Hayes Hone. Zero hash is greater than. They thought you were reactive when you're actually the most calculated person in the room, when you've been playing chess while they've been playing checkers, when you've been setting up positioning that won't pay off for months, but when it pays off, when your strategy executes, when the pieces you've been quietly moving into place activate, they're going to realize they never understood the game you were playing, never comprehended that you were operating at level of complexity they can't match, or they underestimated your resilience, your capacity to endure, your ability to survive what would break them. They watched you struggle and assumed struggle meant weakness, meant you were failing, meant you wouldn't make it. But struggle was tempering, was strengthening, was forging you into something harder than you were before, something more durable, something capable of withstanding pressures that would crush people who've never been tested the way you've been tested. And when you emerge, when you show them what surviving actually builds, when they see that what they interpreted as your breaking point was actually just you warming up, their realization that they completely misread your capacity for endurance is going to fundamentally shake their understanding of themselves, of you, of how strength actually manifests in world that often mistakes performance for substance. Or they underestimated your network, your connections, your access to resources and people they don't know you have. They thought you were isolated, unsupported, operating alone without backup. But you've been building quietly, connecting strategically, creating alliances they don't see because you're not broadcasting them, not performing them, not needing external validation that you're connected. And when you activate your network, when you call in the support that's been standing ready, when people they didn't know you knew step forward to back you, to support you, to provide resources or opportunities or advocacy that shift entire dynamic. Their shock at discovering you had this level of backing all along while they assumed you were powerless is going to be exquisite, is going to reveal to them that their assessment of your position was based on incomplete information, on assumptions they never verified, on surface level observation that missed entire dimension of your reality. This reflection invites you to consider what specific capability have they most egregiously underestimated, and how close is it to revealing itself in ways they can't ignore. Third element, the timing of the correction. What makes this unprecedented isn't just the underestimation or the person doing the underestimating. It's that the correction is imminent, not someday, not eventually, soon. Weeks, maybe days, not months or years. Something is about to happen that forces confrontation between their perception of you and actual you. You're about to achieve something they said you couldn't achieve. You're about to be recognized by someone whose recognition they respect, whose validation they value, whose acknowledgement of your capability they can't dismiss as biased or uninformed. You're about to reveal information they didn't know, demonstrate skill they didn't realize you possessed, execute plan they didn't know you were capable of formulating. The reveal isn't subtle, isn't private, isn't something that happens quietly where they can adjust their perception without anyone noticing they were wrong. This is public. This is visible. This is witnessed by others who also heard them underestimate you, who also believed their assessment because they presented it confidently, who now watch them get absolutely demolished by reality, showing them they fundamentally misunderstood who they were dealing with. And here's the unprecedented part that makes this reading different from every other underestimation reading I've done. They're going to try to pivot. They're going to attempt to act like they always knew you were capable, like they always supported you, like they're proud of you, like they believed in you all along. But there are witnesses, there are receipts, there are people who heard them dismiss you, minimize you, predict your failure with confidence that revealed they truly believed you were limited in ways you're about to prove you never were. So their pivot fails. Their attempted rewrite of history gets blocked by people who remember the actual history, who won't let them pretend they were always on your side when they very clearly weren't. And that failure to pivot, that being held accountable to their previous judgment, that having to sit with being wrong in ways that damage their credibility and their relationships with people who now see them differently because of how wrong they were, is less than Hasson. Zero hash is greater than. That's the real consequence. That's what makes this correction so devastating for them. That's what elevates this beyond typical someone underestimated me and I proved them wrong scenario into something that fundamentally alters social dynamics, power dynamics, relationship dynamics in ways that don't reverse. Fourth element, your response is what seals the unprecedented nature. In most readings where someone gets vindicated after being underestimated, I see celebration, gloating, rubbing it in, making sure the person who was wrong knows they were wrong and feels bad about being wrong. But that's not your energy. That's not what's coming through. What I'm seeing is ice, is calm, is dignified acknowledgement that you were right about yourself even when they were wrong about you, but no need to humiliate them, no desire to grind their face in their error. You're going to let your achievements speak. Let your success demonstrate. Let reality do the correcting without you adding commentary, without you needing to say, I told you so, because your position speaks so loudly that words become redundant. This restraint, this refusal to descend into pettiness, even when pettiness would feel justified, this is what makes you actually powerful versus performatively powerful. Powerful people don't need to prove they're powerful, don't need to humiliate those who doubted them, don't need validation from people whose judgment already proved unreliable through their underestimation. You're going to rise above, going to maintain dignity, going to show them that being underestimated didn't wound you, because your sense of worth doesn't come from their assessment, comes from knowing yourself, from trusting yourself, from building quietly while they were busy announcing, from doing work while they were busy talking, is less than #0. 5# is greater than. And this restraint makes their error more obvious, not less. Makes their misjudgment more glaring, because you're not even bothered enough to rub it in. You're just continuing forward, continuing building, continuing becoming, while they're stuck processing that they completely missed who you were, what you were doing, where you were going, because they were so committed to their limited perception. They couldn't see evidence that contradicted it, even when evidence was right in front of them. This reflection invites you to consider, how will you maintain composure when vindication arrives, and what will you not say even though part of you wants to say it? Let me address what you should do with this information before the correction happens. First, don't announce it. Don't warn them. Don't try to prepare them for being wrong about you. Let them maintain their incorrect perception right up until reality shatters it. Their surprise is part of the lesson. Their shock is part of the correction. If you warn them, if you hint, if you give them opportunity to adjust before being proven wrong publicly, you rob the moment of its teaching power. You let them save face, when saving face prevents them from actually learning that underestimating people based on surface level assessment is strategy that eventually backfires spectacularly. Second, document their underestimation if you haven't already. Not for revenge, for clarity, for making sure that when they try to rewrite history, when they attempt to claim they always believed in you, you have record that proves otherwise is less than #0. 5# is greater than. You might never need to use it, you probably won't, but having it prevents gaslighting, prevents them convincing themselves and others that they weren't actually wrong, that their memory of being supportive is accurate when reality was they were dismissive. Third, keep building exactly what you've been building. Don't change course to prove them wrong faster. Don't accelerate timeline to speed up vindication. Don't let their underestimation rush you into moving before you're ready, because proving them wrong feels urgent. The correction happens in right timing. Trying to force it, trying to make it happen before natural unfolding brings it about. That risks compromising quality of what you're building, risks making mistakes you wouldn't make if you stayed patient and let your work develop at pace that serves the work rather than pace that serves your ego's desire for vindication. Fourth, prepare for their reaction when correction happens. Some people, when proven wrong about someone they underestimated, respond with grace. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I see you now. I'm impressed and I'm glad I was wrong because what you've accomplished is remarkable. These people exist. They're rare, but they exist. More commonly, people respond with defensiveness, with justification, with attempting to minimize your achievement even while grudgingly acknowledging it. Well, I didn't have the advantages you had. I could have done that too if I'd wanted to. It's not that impressive when you consider this is them protecting ego from having to admit they were thoroughly, completely wrong. Even more commonly, they respond with resentment. Your success makes them look bad. Your proving them wrong damages their credibility. They don't celebrate you. They resent you for making them feel foolish, for exposing their judgment as faulty, for succeeding where they predicted you'd fail. And this resentment might motivate them to undermine you, to spread rumors, to try to diminish your achievement in eyes of others, because if they can convince people your success is undeserved or inflated or not that significant, they can protect themselves from full weight of being wrong. Expect any of these reactions. Prepare for worst while hoping for best. Don't let their response, whatever it is, diminish your achievement or make you doubt yourself or make you feel like you need to justify success to people who already proved their judgment is unreliable through underestimating you so thoroughly. This reflection invites you to consider, what do you need to do between now and correction to ensure you're solid enough that their reaction, whatever it is, can't destabilize you? Finally, let me speak to why this matters beyond personal vindication. Yes, proving someone wrong who underestimated you feels good. Yes, watching them eat their words provides satisfaction. But the deeper significance is what this teaches everyone watching. It teaches them not to underestimate quiet people, not to mistake lack of performance for lack of capability, not to assume that because someone doesn't announce their plans